welcome back to the channel. My name is Madison and this is my corner of the internet where I talk about all my crafts, mostly crochet. But today's video is a little bit different, so I'm going to pop up where you can find me. Anything that I mention will be in the description box down below, so if you do want to go and find out any more information, that's the place to go. I'm coming to you from just outside Glasgow. It is very warm today. It is meant to get to 27 degrees. So we will see. I am originally from Essex and I moved to Glasgow in 2024 to be with my husband, who moved up in 2023. So that is me. Today's video is going to be a 10 questions tag. I was tagged by Kirsty of Knit, Crochet, Read, Repeat podcast, and they found it via Home Tea Knits, but apparently it was originally from Coco's Crochet 6380. So I thought I would have a go as well, and I will tag a couple of people at the end, I think, as well. But if you want to have a go, then I will put the questions in the description box below for you, and if you want to have a conversation in the comments, then try answering them. So it's mostly about my crafts. I think the original series of questions was about crochet, but I'm trained in fashion design and teaching, so I have accumulated quite a lot of different crafts over the years. So I will mention some of the other ones that I do other than crochet and knitting, but the majority of what I answer will be based on knitting and crochet. So let's get to it. How did you learn to crochet, knit, craft? So my crafting journey has actually started very, very early on. I was around 6 or 7 when my grandmother taught me to cross stitch, and that actually became my main craft until my very late teens, and pretty much right up until I left university, cross stitch was my main craft. However, around the same time, my nan also taught me to knit, but literally just knit, so I could knit back and forth. So it didn't go very far with that. She also taught me to crochet, and I remember going round and round in circles. And I know I have the original piece that I made, but I have no idea where it is. I literally started with a circle and just kept going round and round, and then changed all my stitches and worked upwards. So it's not very big, and I didn't really finish anything under the tuition of my nan, but that is the main craft that I do now. Since around 2017, crochet has started to creep back in. It crept back in a little bit prior to that, because I retaught myself from a book. I don't know where I've put that book. That's probably on one of my shelves, to be honest. It's just an amigurumi book. I'll put the details down below for you. And I taught myself in my late teens, or retaught myself, and just made like balls. I made crochet balls and then added ears to them and added buttons. So they were these weird sort of creations, but that's what I did. That was my late teens. And what else? My nan also taught me to use her sewing machine. So when I left school, I had my son. I borrowed my nan's sewing machine for the year between finishing school and going to college the next year. And my parents also bought me my own one towards the end of that year so that I could continue using it. And then I ended up doing fashion design at college, followed by fashion design at university. So that became like the main thing for my career choice, my career path. But I remember doing lots of cross stitch in school. I remember taking it on school trips with me because I was obsessed, and every time I learned something new I wanted to teach all my friends. So I would make up like little cross stitch kits for them, and I'd try and teach them how to do the stitches. So I think that's kind of what pushed me towards teaching as well. But yeah, so I was around 6 or 7 when I learned most of my crafts. In terms of my family, my dad is very arty. He currently paints pet portraits and animal portraits and things like that, using watercolour and pencil. My mum can knit and she can cross stitch, but I think she said that my grandmother taught her to knit but didn't teach her to cross stitch, so she learned to cross stitch on her own. I also took my mum to a jewellery making workshop when I was in university in London, and just to make like basic stuff, so a pair of earrings, a strung beaded necklace, bracelet, that sort of thing. And we did that for a little while together, and then I kind of took off on that. And if you look quite far back in my Facebook posts and things like that, you will see quite a lot of jewellery making going on. So yeah, if I wasn't able to use my sewing machine, I was using gemstones and wire to make jewellery. That's kind of just how it went. And then since 2018 now, I think crochet has been my main outlet. That along with dressmaking and pattern cutting. But when I then started teaching, I had a lot of fabric going on. So I've accumulated quite a lot throughout my lifetime, really. I only have a small amount of cross stitch now. It is above me up here, and I think I've got some down here. But the rest of my room is pretty much filled with yarn. I've got hand-dyed yarn behind me. I've got acrylic yarn in front of me. All of these drawers have got either like hand-dyed yarn or projects to be started or projects on the go. So there's a lot in this room. But I do also have a full 2x4 Kallax unit full of fabric and an ottoman. And my cupboard has even more fabric, and I have boxes of fabric everywhere, so there's a lot going on. But anyway, that's question 1. That's how I learned to knit, crochet, and all the other things. Question 2 then is favourite thing to make. I make an awful lot of amigurumi. An awful lot of amigurumi. I subscribed to some of the Toft subscription boxes. So I currently have Birds Club, Imaginists, Conservationists, and there was a Die Club. That one's now finished. And I'm waiting to see like if there's a doll that I'm really interested in making, and if that's in the club, then I'll join the club for that doll. But that hasn't happened yet, so that's the only patch I'm missing actually from the Toft subscriptions. Yeah, other than amigurumi, because like I said, there is a lot. I also make quite a lot of blankets. I think mosaic crochet has helped with that, because a lot of the blankets I make recently are mosaic crochet, and I have 2. There are 2 that I want to make. Nope, 3. I've got 3. I've got 1 all kitted up, and the other 2 are in my like to-do pile when I get a chance to kit them up properly. Yeah, so blankets and amigurumi, definitely my favourite things to make. And always in crochet as well. I don't think I've ever knit a blanket. I'm lucky if I can knit a scarf, to be fair. But this year I'm hoping to at least make a start on knitting a tee. So I'm looking to do the Tolster tee with a friend, and we'll see how that goes. If you could use only one yarn for the rest of your life, what would it be? Now, I think in terms of yarn weight, it would have to be DK. Definitely DK yarn. That's the yarn that I use the most of. So I use that in my amigurumi, I use that in my blankets. You can double it up to make Aran. So there are multiple possibilities with DK yarn, and it comes in a wide variety of colours as well. It's a very popular yarn weight. But I don't know whether I would prefer hand-dyed or acrylic. I love hand-dyed yarn, but I don't use it, and I think that's because I have so much acrylic to try and get through. But maybe times are changing. So for me, definitely a DK weight yarn. Yeah, that's what I would go for if I was only to use one weight of yarn for the rest of my life. Question 4. Weirdest thing you've made so far? I'm not sure. Some of my amigurumi projects have been quite odd or strange. Especially the Imaginist subscription box, because that one is one of those boxes where you get given the colours and the only stipulation is that you have to use the basic body and head shape. Everything else you can do for whatever pattern you like. Well, not whatever pattern. You can use elements from the Toft patterns, but you can make up stuff as well. So some of mine are actually quite strange, and I'll see if I can pop up some pictures for you so that you can see what I'm on about. But I don't think I've made anything else that's weird as such. I did once make a jumpsuit for a friend. They were having a 70s themed party, I think, and he wanted a lime green and purple jumpsuit. And afterwards, it kind of looked like he was one of the members of Scooby-Doo. So that was quite an interesting make. Other than that, I did make a dress actually at university where the idea was that you hide something within the garment itself, like within the construction of it, and it had like baubles, like they look like bubbles. So some of them were filled with stuffing, so they were squidgy. Some of them had bells in them, so it made a jingling noise. Some of them were hollow, and I just stitched round them. That was quite an interesting make, and it was a really weird shape. Not really sure what was going on through my head at the time, but I don't know. I think I still have it in a wardrobe somewhere, just to look back on. But it was, yeah, that was a weird make. Something you'll never knit, crochet, or craft. Question 5. Underwear. I might make like a bralette if the weather called for one. If I felt a bit more confident in my body, but like not a swimming costume. I wouldn't make a swimming costume, and I wouldn't make underwear, like knickers. I don't see the point, really. But I used to say that about socks. I didn't see the point in knitting socks if I could just go and buy socks. But I'm almost finished on my very first knitted sock, and I can see the appeal because it's just round and round and round. But I don't know if I'm going to end up with like a whole drawer of knitted socks over shop bought socks. I don't know. But anyway, I think the reason is I have never seen, or I've never seen anyone wearing one in the wild, like when I go out. But I have seen videos of people who have made like a swimsuit, gone swimming, and it's either unraveled or it's stretched or it's just fallen off. And they've not had anything else to wear. So there is always that risk as well. But definitely, no, not something I would be making. No. Question 6 is, where do you get inspiration? I scroll a lot on Instagram. And I watch quite a lot of podcasts as well. So I watch, for example, Ellie of the Little Drops of Wonderful. I watch Ellie of Craft House Magic. Sam of Sam Rayner podcast. I watch Kirsty of the Knit Crochet Repeat podcast. I also have Fran of Franny Do Makes podcast. There are so many people that I watch, and it's always nice to just see what everybody's working on. I do watch a lot more than just those that I've mentioned, but those are the ones that come to the top of my head at the moment. Yeah, so there's a lot of podcasts going on that I watch, and it's nice to see what everybody's working on. And when we have conversations in the comments section as well, it's nice to have a back and forth and get ideas of what to do next. But it's mostly Instagram or from friends. Friends will share links to new patterns or tester patterns that are going out, and we'll all be like, oh, that's quite nice, let's add that. I'm also on a few Facebook groups, particularly for mosaic crocheting, so when new patterns go up on there, I'm like, oh, I quite like that. Which is what I did with the new Waterside cow from Rosina Plain, and I've immediately added that to my Ravelry because it's one of those patterns where I think I could actually use quite a lot of my stash yarn of my DK. I just need a background colour that will go with it, and then I'll be alright. Then I can do it. Yeah, but the other one I've been interested in recently is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which is by Alice Tarry of The Burrow. It's an amazingly vibrant blanket, and that is also in my Ravelry. And they're both cows, so they'll be released weekly, I think, over the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks, where you get like a section of the pattern and you can work it up in real time. Yeah, other than that, it's Toft. A lot, like I said earlier, a lot of my amigurumi projects are actually from Toft, so I will buy the kits or I'll buy the subscription boxes, or I've got the books as well, so I can pick any I like. And I have quite a lot of Toft yarn now in my stash, so I've got no excuse not to make any of the animals up. Yeah, that's where my inspiration comes from. If it's not that, then it's going out. So I'll go to a yarn show and I'll find really pretty yarn, or I'll find a sample on a sample rack in the dyer's yarn, and I'll be like, oh, I'll add that to my list as well. So I will attempt to go through my yarn stash. I think the top one is 4-ply, the next one is DK, so that's why this one's bigger. I then have some stuff already caked up, and then the one below is all of my Perf Collab Club yarns from I think 2020 and 2021, maybe 2022. So at some point I will go through a lot of that, because a lot of that is actually old stash, like very old stash. There's some stuff in there that I bought when I first started collecting hand-dyed yarn, and I think that was around the end of 2017, early 2018 that I started collecting hand-dyed yarn. Yeah, it has become an obsession. But yeah, sometimes you just have to find a skein and then think, oh, what can I make with that? Question 7 then is, favourite thing you have made this year? And they're sitting right behind me. When I was prepping like ideas of what to talk about for this video, I thought one of the questions was, what's your favourite make ever? And I was going to mention my rainbow cardigan, my rainbow hexie cardigan, because I absolutely love it. I wear it all the time, whether it's hot, cold, raining, windy, I will wear it. Doesn't matter where I'm going, I will wear that cardigan because it just seems to suit all weathers and it makes me happy. So, and every time I go to a yarn show, if I'm going with friends, I will wear that cardigan because they know that that's my cardigan, and if they need to find me, that's what they look for. So it does come in handy sometimes. But this year, this is my favourite make. I made the mushroom guy from Stephanie Buckner who is Critter Stitch, and he's like a big toddler. He is most definitely my favourite make this year. This size as well. I have also made the smaller one, but he's just so cute. So yeah, this is my favourite make. I have made him in chenille yarn, which is King Cole Yummy, in cream, teddy, and red, and then he has cream spots as well on his hat. He's just adorable. So yeah, he is my favourite make this year so far. So question 8 then is your plans you're excited about this year. So crochet, knit, craft plans for this year. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm excited to start the Tolster tee. It'll be my first knitted garment because I've always been scared of them. I did try and test knit the Garter Squish jumper or sweater a couple of years ago, and it uses chunky yarn, but when I was trying to do it in different colours, so when I changed from the collar ribbon to the main body, I had the pearl bumps, and I didn't want the pearl bumps. I just wanted it to be seamless, so that you had like the one colour stopped and then the next colour started, rather than having a little bit of overlap. And I couldn't work out how to do it, and I got really frustrated with it, so I just ripped it out and didn't complete the test because I was so stressed about it. But yeah, I want to try and at least get started on a Tolster tee, and Kirsty is going to help me hopefully. But that'll be nice to do. In terms of other projects, I have so many projects in these boxes, in these cubes, of things that I want to make, things that are already kitted up and ready to go. And I like the idea of just being able to literally go to one of these cubes, pull out a project and go, oh, let's work on that today. I've got a couple of blankets that I want to do, as I've already mentioned. So the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and the Waterside Cow. Those are 2 on my list to work up. Yeah, those are what I'm excited about. I've got some blankets going on, and I want to make the Tolster tee. That's what's exciting me this year, because we're halfway through the year, over halfway through the year now, because we're in August. So not an awful lot of time left over to get cracking on some projects. Question number 9 is worst thing about crochet, knit, or craft? Storage. It is storage. I have, because I have so many different crafts, trying to fit them all into one room has been quite stressful and quite challenging, and it still doesn't all fit, and there's still more coming in as well, and sometimes it's like I don't know what to do with it all. So for me, the worst thing is trying to store everything. The other thing is, what do you do with the things that you make? I make a lot of amigurumi, and I don't know if you're allowed to sell Toft projects, like finished makes, so they all just hang out with me. But then it's finding places to put them all, and sometimes they get gifted, so, which is always nice. But for now, it's where do I put everything? And not having enough time to actually do all the things that we want to do, because I'm sure any craft out there, whatever your craft is, you will want to do everything all at once, and that's just not possible. And what you think may take you 10 minutes takes you an hour, and it just keeps on going. Time and storage are definitely the worst things for any craft. Question 10 then is the last one, and it is favourite thing about crochet, knit, crafts. For me, it's the finished it's the finished make. There are some times where I'm very much a progress maker. I love working up mosaic crochet, and I love working up amigurumi. But with amigurumi, it's the end result. You're like, oh, it's a little. They get their own little personality, and that's what's really lovely with amigurumi, because you can make multiples of the same pattern, and they will all have a slightly different personality. The eyes might be slightly squinty or slightly different position. You might have used a slightly different colour yarn. You might have put something on in a different way, and they all have their own personality, which that's what makes amigurumi so much fun. This guy is very cute, and it wasn't until I put the hat on I was like, oh, he's adorable. So yeah, and where's the little one gone? Same with this one. I knew he was going to be cute though, because they made him after the big one, but yeah, and he turns. But yeah, I think it's the final outcome. Majority of the time it's final outcome, but I do like a process project as well. I'm not very good with mystery projects when you don't know the next bit. That can always be a bit daunting because you're not sure if you're going to like the final outcome. But yeah, I love seeing my amigurumi projects just come to life, and it's always lovely to finish a blanket as well. Yeah, so that is my 10 questions, and I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about me. I thought it would be a good idea to do it sort of like an introduction to anyone who is new to the channel, because we've had quite an influx of new subscribers recently, so I thought it'd be nice for you guys to get to know me a little bit more and see what's been going on. I am now going to go and change into something a little bit cooler and go spend some time in the garden, because our tortoises are out in the garden now, because it's a nice sunny day and my husband has a rare day off from work, so we're going to spend the rest of the day in the garden. But I am going to tag, I think I'm going to tag 2 people. I'm going to tag Sam Rayner of the Sam Rayner podcast, and possibly Ellie from Craft House Magic as well. And we'll see how you ladies do. But thank you so much for joining me for the last half an hour or so. And yeah, if you don't have a podcast but you want to get involved, I will pop the questions in the description box, so you are welcome to copy and paste them and answer them in the comment section. It'd be really lovely to see your answers and get to know you a little bit more as well. Or even if you just want to answer a couple, you don't have to answer all 10, because I know that's quite a lot of typing if you're in the comments. Yeah, so thank you for joining me, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.